Fox 61 News at 10 starts now.
Tonight on the Fox 61 News at 10.
I'm expecting the worst and hoping for the best.
Connecticut bracing for Henri. The governor declaring a state of emergency as the storm barrels up the Atlantic.
I just ordered a bunch of more generators, more batteries.
Cities and towns are preparing and not taking any chances. The state's utility companies doing the same.
This will be a very significant storm. I will tell you that Eversource is well prepared.
Tonight, the watches and warnings in place, plus the latest track and impact as Henri sets its sights on Connecticut. The News at 10 starts right now.
Connecticut bracing for Henri. Good evening and thanks for joining us for the News at 10. I'm Jen Bernstein.
And I'm Amanda Rouse. The latest models show the storm strengthening into a hurricane, then making landfall in our state's shores. The storm right now barreling up the Atlantic, where it is expected to strengthen. Parts of our state under a hurricane warning tonight, and Governor Lamont has already declared a state of emergency for what's predicted to hit us Sunday.
And all across southern New England, people are bracing for a worst case scenario, from the Connecticut shoreline to Cape Cod and the islands. Local and state officials say now is the time to prepare.
We have team coverage across the state tonight, but we want to begin with Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank in the Weather Center with the latest track for Henri there. Rachel.
Yeah, and it's looking like this storm is going to be memorable and not in a good way. We all remember Gloria and Hurricane Bob, and it looks like there is at least a chance now, according to the National Hurricane Center, that Henri may make landfall as a hurricane in Connecticut. Right now, winds of 70 miles per hour. The latest update coming in at 8 o'clock, and the storm hasn't strengthened yet, but it will be here shortly into a Category 1 hurricane, almost paralleling the East Coast. After that, it starts to take this little funky hook closer to land, and this track would just be a worst case scenario for us in Connecticut if you look at just the center coming right up the Connecticut River Valley. Now, on the right side of the storm track, that's where you end up getting the worst storm surge, and that would put it into parts of eastern Connecticut along with the worst winds. On the left side of the storm track, or the west side, that's where you get flooding rain. So that would bring all of those impacts into Connecticut to varying degrees depending on which side you're on. But you have to look at the entire forecast cone. It could still push a little bit farther west, closer to northern New Jersey, or farther east, closer to Rhode Island. And again, those various impacts would change depending on which way this wants to go. But either way, the National Hurricane Center is saying we're issuing tornado warnings for most of the Connecticut shoreline, and we may end up seeing tropical storm watches extending farther inland as confidence rises in the threat for strong gusty winds. We're going to take you through the storm. It's going to start early on Sunday, and it may not wrap up until Monday afternoon, but the worst part of the winds will be during the day and into the early evening on Sunday. We'll take you through it coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Governor Lamont has called on 200 National Guards men and women to be on active duty starting tomorrow to prepare. And he says the State Emergency Operations Center will be partially activated Saturday, tomorrow, and fully activated by Sunday morning.
All new tonight at 10, the U.S. Coast Guard is preparing for Henri's arrival, sending out a message to stay off the water and be prepared. Fox 61's Alicia Machado joins us live from the Coast Guard's Long Island Sound Sector Station in New Haven. Alicia.
The Coast Guard is keeping an eye on the weather over the next couple of days to help people when needed. They are recommending that people secure their gear if they are boat owners and move inland, something that marinas will have their hands full with over the weekend. The calm before Tropical Storm Henri may look like this on the Branford River, but behind the scenes, a wave of work for foremen like Dutch Wharf Sam Smith.
Oh, I've probably had 50 calls today, people checking on their boats or asking if we had room for them.
And for good reason.
Our main concerns are high winds and high water. We have to assume the worst and make preparations.
Preparations that could save your boat.
If you have a large boat, if possible, it's best if you can move your boat inland.
Or save a life.
During like a tropical storm or a potential hurricane, it's best to just not get out on the water and just wait the storm out. Because if it gets too bad, our ability to head out there is going to be, diminished.
The U.S. Coast Guard will be keeping an eye on Henri from their New Haven station, ready to take the call for help when needed. And out at Dutch Wharf, Sam Smith and owner Paul Jacques will be keeping an eye on the boats, and they know a thing or two about handling storms.
Been very protected. Hurricane Sandy was our all-time high water event here, and we had virtually no damage to any of our boats, so we're very fortunate.
Part of this is by design that caught his father's eye back in 1955.
This is the only river in Long Island Sound that is a complete S-curve, and we're at the upstream end of it, so the advantage of being here is that across the way you have marsh, so we don't get much of a surge of the water here.
But still, they're hoping the storm will move in their favor.
It's a tense time. Hopefully it veers to the east a little bit and goes out to sea.
The Coast Guard also says to be on the lookout for rip currents. These can be dangerous for beachgoers and pull even the most experienced of swimmers out to sea. Live in New Haven, Alicia Machado, Fox 61 News.